Hi everyone. So we're looking at how to do breakout rooms and the whiteboard today. So if you go into your Zoom account and you want to go into your settings, and here's where you have a whole bunch of options. Now I'm not sure exactly what it falls under on this left-hand menu bar. But essentially you'll scroll down and you'll want to make sure that you have the breakout rooms enabled. You can also, this polling option is pretty cool because they can, you can create some sort of feedback immediately and it'll appear on their menu bar down at the bottom. So you could have like a yes or no thing, or whatever you'd like to do. So screen sharing as well, if you want all of your students to be able to screen share, make sure you click that. We saw Tom share that with us earlier. Annotations here, this you want for your whiteboard. So you want to allow the host and the participants to use the annotations when you're sharing screens. You can actually use that anytime, not just for the whiteboard. And then the whiteboard here, you want to make sure that you can save the whiteboard content. That way you can pull it up later if you want to refer back to it. I have it saving as a PDF, but you could also save it as a picture. Meeting reactions, this one is also really useful, so I suggest turning that on. You can have them react with like a thumbs up. You can also have them tell you they need a break or they're taking a break, and raising their hands and things like that. So in Meeting Advanced is where your breakout rooms is located. So here's the breakout rooms. You want to make sure that you turn that on. You can assign participants ahead of time when you're setting up the schedule. If you do that, those students are going to remain in that same breakout room at all times. So you won't be able to change that. So then you save those settings. And when you go into your meetings here and you schedule a new meeting, the breakout rooms will already be available to you. If you wanted to set them up ahead of time, this is where you would do so when you're setting this out. So breakout rooms pre-assign, and then you would assign your students to whatever rooms you want them to be in. Okay, so let's look at an active session here. I'm going to make this larger. Maybe not that large because now you can't see the... Okay. So down here on your menu bar, you have a lot of options. The mute, if you select the little arrow there, you can actually change the input. Up here, this is also really useful. Turn on original sound is going to give you better sound quality. If you don't know, this little I button, info button, tells you the meeting ID and your participant ID. It also gives you the link to copy. In your video, Tom went over that, but you have a lot of advanced options. You can do a virtual background and things like that. Participants, you won't see this popping up here because I'm the only participant, but if you have participants and your chat open, right here above the invite, mute, and more, that's where you would see things like raising your hand. If the participant raises their hand, it'll appear up here next to their name, and it'll also pop up and tell you that they've raised their hand down here in your menu bar. You also have reactions down here, and we'll look at share screen and whiteboards, but under more, I have a lot of more options for live streaming. I also have closed captioning, which you can be the individual who is typing as you're speaking and it'll appear as closed captioning. And then you could assign that to somebody else, or you can have a third party access it. Now, I haven't looked into the third party doing the closed captioning. I don't know if that costs, but here's your breakout rooms. So you select breakout rooms. this is going to be the main option. It'll automatically assign them. So you can choose however many breakout rooms you want. 5 breakout rooms. If there's 20 students in your class, that's going to be 4 students per breakout room. Or you can assign them manually, where you say which students go into which rooms. So we'll explore those in the actual session, but I want to make sure you can see this. So if you go automatically, create breakout rooms, they'll appear there. You can move people around. You can rename the breakout room. So you could rename this to Group Tiger King, Group Ice Queen, whatever you want to do, if they want to give themselves a name. Now, under options, you have a couple of things that you can do here. You can allow the participants to return to the main session at any time. It's not an automatic option there. Otherwise, they're going to be kicked automatically into a breakout room, but what happens is they get a little notification that says, join breakout room. You can set a time here for how long you want them to be working on that group session, 15, 20, however, 5 minutes, and it'll give them a warning. There'll be a countdown for the amount of time that's left. If you have a time up in the left-hand corner, there'll be a little countdown of how much time is remaining in that room. If you don't assign an amount of time and you just bring them back, say, okay, you're done, come back to the main room, it'll give them 60 seconds to exit that room before it kicks them out, or you can have that just kick them back directly out. But I think that warning is nice just in case they are in the middle of a discussion or something. You can add a room, you can obviously delete rooms, you could assign individuals here. You could recreate these rooms as well. So the reason I can't open a room is because there are no participants, but that's essentially your breakout rooms. That's really quick and easy. So let's look at your whiteboards here really quick. Share screen. It's much nicer to share whatever it is you're looking at instead of sharing your desktop, because then they'll see all the other mess and you can accidentally click on different things as you're navigating. So whiteboard is the option you want to use here. Select it. You can optimize your screen for video clips. You can share your computer sound as well. So if you've got any kind of audio or video, you want to select these before you go into sharing whatever screen you're sharing. So this is your whiteboard. You as the instructor will see this tab here. The participants will not. The participants will have to go up into their menu bar, select on the 3 dots, and select annotate, and you'll see that when we practice that later. So you'll have to make sure that before you exit, you select save. That's going to be really important. You can move objects with the select here. You can draw, you can write, you can stamp, you can highlight, you can erase, you can format, all kinds of stuff. So if we want to title this whiteboard, and then if I wanted to select that, I can move it around wherever I want it to be. I can create a stamp and put a check mark there, and then I could say, read the directions. And then if I wanted to draw something, you can select something to draw there, or you can actually draw something just with the cursor itself. So you could say A there, and maybe you want something to link. B there, so line in between A and B. If you want to then move that down or up. So that's your whiteboard, essentially. You can clear the entire whiteboard by selecting the trash can, the clear, or you can save the whiteboard. It automatically saves it to like your desktop or your Zoom folder. So there's your whiteboard. You can rename it whatever you want, and you can pull it up later. So for example, if I say, okay, great, we're done with this whiteboard, I'm going to stop that share, and we're talking and having class again. Well, let's pull up that whiteboard. first you have to find the whiteboard before you can pull it up. So I want to pull up that whiteboard first, then I want to go into my share screen, and I want to share that whiteboard that we have already used in class. And that's your whiteboard. So if students want to annotate on this whiteboard here, they're going to find it in their menu bar. It depends on where this menu bar appears. On my PC in my office, it appears up at the top. So you would select Annotate. If you don't see Annotate here, you would go into More and then select Annotate from there. So here in Annotate, you get those same options. So maybe I want to highlight something. And that was a terrible attempt. So I'm just going to delete that. Maybe I want to then add something on top of this and say great. So don't skip a step, read the directions thoroughly. And you can then save this again with the additional annotations. So if you have students do a whiteboard in a group and then they share the whiteboard with the whole main room, and then we annotate on that whiteboard, you can save it again. And then you can post that on Cloud, on Canvas, or however you want to utilize that. That's your whiteboard and that's your breakout rooms. I hope that's helpful.